Well, it was just really early on a Sunday morning. I had a load of Forest Service freight to take into Chamberlain Basin, and had full fuel and full load of freight, and it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It's what they call a Johnson load, which usually means overload. And you know, pre-flighted the plane and pulled it out of the hangar and went down and took off and headed up. Made a left turn out, went not too far away from the Brown's mill.
Yeah.
And I was settled down to a nice cruising climb up about, I was north of the upper Payette Lake.
Okay, all right.
And about halfway up to where we used to go camping on, what was the name of that? Josephine Creek. And all of a sudden, just nothing. Engine quit. It was still turning, you know.
Yeah.
Because it didn't have a feathering propeller.
Okay.
But
so the force of the wind on the prop was turning the engine.
yes.
Okay.
And it would go whoosh, 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 whoosh. You could hear the prop.
Yeah.
It was turning it really slow, not fast, and that creates enormous drag.
Right.
So I had a chance to turn back to the south because I knew where I was. I always tried to memorize the best place to make a forced landing wherever I went.
Yeah.
And so I knew that was just, I knew I had just passed that, so we made 180 back towards McCall to lose some altitude, which wasn't hard to do with the load and everything.
Yeah.
And kind of make a downwind for that stretch of road, which had more trees on it then.
Yeah.
And to get in between the trees and the snags that are on the bank of the lake, I had to do, you know what a slip is?
Yeah, you push the rudder and then you give it opposite sail later on. It
Yeah.
makes this plane go sideways against through the air.
Yeah, I did that to get over the road.
Right.
And I was thinking that, well, maybe I'm down in one piece, and it's downhill there too, you know, and I was landing downhill because there wasn't a choice to land uphill.
Yeah, you didn't have time to turn it around
Well,
and get coming back up.
There wasn't room to get in the other direction.
Yeah.
And I started hearing the road grader had worked the road and left just a pile of rocks, you know, a ridge, but there was mostly, mostly fair-sized river stones.
Yeah.
And the wheels started hitting those, and I'd move a little one way to try to get off of it, and I thought the trees looked too close and rocks on the uphill side, and so I'd move back a little bit, and I could have been stopped in another probably 150 or 200 feet.
Yeah.
But hammering that wheel, it bent the brake drum and seized the wheel.
Oh, okay.
So it's that was enough to swing me around, and as soon as I realized that it was pulling me over, I put full right brake, but it wasn't enough to it didn't have enough traction to offset the traction from a deflated tire.
Right.
And so upside down, nose first, and the tail was sticking in the water.
Because the plane in the photos is actually in pretty good shape. I mean, you can tell you got rid. It's not like an airline crash when all that's left is little bits of paint, you know. I mean, you can tell you got rid of a lot of your energy. So.
But all the freight I had in there, and it was now on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And that's when my back troubles started. I had to. I couldn't get out, and I could hear gasoline running, And I thought, you know, that doesn't sound good to me, because just outside of, you know, we're upside down, so the gas is running away from the plane. But I figure, you know, you're just about better figure that that wing's starting to get full of fuel, and I
All right. Okay. All right.
I shut off the magnetos and the master switch when I realized I was going to have to land. And then I
So there was no. So on those planes, there's no hydraulics. It's all just cables and pulleys, right?
All cables.
Yeah.
The you know, it was upside down load. It was kind of wasn't easy to walk over that, you know, but
Right.
not that it was very far. And it I couldn't reach down and get the door open. It was covered by all the shit I was hauling. And so I put my back to the wall, which was where the rear window, the window sill was. Just nice, beautiful woodwork, solid, stout as a barn.
Yeah.
And started kicking on the door. And boy, I thought I was never going to get that broken down. And I was kicking so hard it was hurting my back. It's the fourth and fifth vertebrae
Yeah.
that were against that. And I just thought, you know, if I don't get out of here, I'm liable to fry.
Right.
So I finally got it kicked open, and I just a few days before got a brand new, you know, felt baseball cap. It was bright green.
Yeah.
And when I got out, getting out, you know, the door sill, which was now above my head, you know, I knocked my cap off, and it went in the water there, and it was just starting to float away a little, and it was only about knee deep there. So I waded over right quick before the current caught it. Then just almost immediately after, a car came to a stop. It was an older car. Some guy had been fishing,
Yeah.
and he'd seen me go down, and came down to. He said he didn't expect to find anyone,
Yeah.
and then he took me on in. I said, he says, I should probably take you to the hospital. And I says, well, no, I don't think I'm hurt. And he says, yeah, but I think you better check in anyway. He was smarter than me.
Yeah.